It's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and today I'm going to show you how to cover a cake board with fondant, and I'm also going to show you how to create a wood grain texture on fondant as well. When you make various things as often as I do, you are bound to have a lot of display cakes and cookies, and my display cake just recently broke. I was a little choked at first, but not a problem. We're going to turn this cake into my son's first birthday cake. Your first step in covering a board with fondant is you're going to take your board and you're going to cover it with shortening. Then you're going to lay your fondant on top. Make sure that you extend out the sides a little bit so that you're able to fold in and tuck in the edges perfectly. If you haven't worked with fondant a lot, then I suggest you check out my video. I'll throw that up in the right-hand corner, which just gives you some detailed tips on fondant work. This board previously had dried fondant on it, so that's why it's not perfect, but a cake is going to go on top anyway, so I'm not being too picky about it. Right now I'm just taking some different tools to kind of flatten out that edge. Now I want to create a border, and I'm just using this little mold I have from Wilton Cakes, and I'm just kind of creating a little bubble border. This border is sticking very easily because I steamed this prior to adhering anything to it. When you steam something with a clothing steamer, it just makes everything easier. No water or adhesive is necessary, which makes for really clean lines. What's great about a lot of the molds that are coming out now is you don't need to add any additional cornstarch to the mold for things to come out easily. I really like that. So this cake that I'm going to be making for my son's first birthday is actually going to be a fake display cake. I actually think this is just the way to go whenever I do birthday parties. What I normally do is I make an over-the-top fake cake and then I make a bunch of cupcakes. There's two reasons as to why I do this. One being that I want to keep the memory of that cake for a little while, and two, I just can't find that many people to consume a cake that could literally feed about 100. I quickly covered that styrofoam cake with a little bit of shortening and then fondant on top, and then I also steamed it so I can apply these dots really easily. The way that I cut these dots out is I use the end of a piping tip. There's lots of different ways to adhere the actual fake cake to the base, and what I used royal icing, but you could literally use anything, even your glue gun. Now we are going to move on to making that wood grain texture. Now, as you can see, this is not a pretty piece of styrofoam at all, but it's going to be covered up anyway, and it's not like anybody's going to have to see it in this state for much longer. This fondant color that you are applying here is only really going to show at the top, so whatever you want the top color of your cake to be, make sure you use that fondant. No need to be too perfect with this either because you're going to cover the majority of the sides up anyway. I was running a little bit low on this color, so you'll notice my coverage is not very good because I don't have enough fondant, so it's very thin, but it really doesn't matter. You're probably also wondering why I even bother covering the sides, and that's because I just find the fondant sticks better to other pieces of fondant. What I'm doing now is using one of my favorite cake tools to just kind of make a little bit of an impression on this piece of fondant. This is to create that nice wood grain. You'll notice I'm using a dark gray piece of fondant, and this is because I'm going to paint my wood grain white. So I want that really nice kind of white rustic color. But if you wanted to go more traditional and go with a darker brown, then I would suggest you go with a piece of black fondant or really dark brown fondant. You'll notice that when I create those little knot holes, I kind of make that wood grain go around the knot hole pattern as if it were on a tree. There are lots of different molds that you can buy out there that will automatically create a nice wood grain pattern for you, but it's one of those things that I've never bothered investing in because I can make it so easily with just a simple tool, and you honestly don't even need to use the cake tool that I use. I want my cake to look like a wooden barrel because I'm going to be using it for a different cake in future. So I'm using this paneling technique, but if you just wanted a wood grain pattern on the side of your cake, you could just as easily cover your cake in fondant, a lot more perfectly than I did, with a wooden color that you desire, and then you would go ahead and use your cake tool to kind of scrape the edges and texturize it just as you did before when it was laying flat on the table. Again, I want to make a quick note that I did steam the cake prior to adhering these pieces on. I want to make sure everything is nice and secure, so I am just pressing everything in. And I'm going back in and adding a little bit more texture. I'm also going back in and redefining all of those panels. For a nice rustic look, I'm going in with some edible white food gel mixed with a little bit of vodka, and then I am painting it on, and I am literally painting it on as if you would paint a fence. I find with this look, the more visible brush strokes, the better. Some of the knot holes I fill in with white, and some of them I just leave that nice gray color. For a very distressed look, what you can do is once that edible paint has dried a little bit, you can take a dry brush and then you can kind of swipe it through, and it's going to lift off some of the paint. Two different fondant skills that are going to be used over and over and over again, I assure you. Now, these two cakes are going to be part of my son's first birthday cake, so stay tuned to see what I do with that. Like I said, you can use this wood grain technique for a lot of different types of cakes, and that is just one example of something you could do really, really easily. Those are just some fake flowers that I found from Michael's. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of this Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love engaging with you. Bye!